How's it, everybody? We are the Joy Schtick Show. Your three favorite friends from Hawaii are back to talk story about what brings us joy in comics, video games, and pop culture. We'll share our shtick with you, so stick around. If you fancy what you hear, please like and subscribe on the platform you frequent. Your support is greatly appreciated. If this is your first time, mahalo for spending with us. I'm your co-host Drake, and that's Thomas.
What up, what up?
And that's Christina.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
Thomas, could you give our viewers the rundown on our third today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am legally bound to say nothing but good things to this person. No, she's amazing and really appreciate it. She has been watching Daisy Jones and the Six and has read the book, but my wife is on the podcast, Christina Craig.
Hello,
babes.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Yes. Happy
Right on.
Thanksgiving.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Hanukkah. All right. So yeah, do we want to jump into it? So Daisy Jones and the Six.
Ooh, tell us about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it. So it's on Amazon Prime, right?
Ooh.
Yep, on Amazon Prime. A lot of people, I think, would say it's kind of a spin-off of or emulates Fleetwood Mac. Like a lot of people are, it's a fictitious band in the 70s, and it's kind of their rise to stardom, how they get there. And a lot of people are saying there's a lot of parallels between the fictitious Daisy Jones and the Six band and Fleetwood Mac, but there's a lot of drama, a lot of sex, drugs, rock and roll, and yeah.
Oh yeah, brother.
I'm liking
Is
it
there
so
boobs?
far. Plenty of boobs, yeah.
Oh, boobs. All right.
Yeah. Just no nips though. For some reason they digitally erased all the nips in it, so
Interesting.
to say.
So no
Yeah.
babies,
Well, it is
no
rated
babies,
16
no food.
plus, so that might have something to do with that. But
Oh, nice. It's like one of those TV ratings, so it kind of makes little sense. Nice. Okay, so do you want to give a rundown of the story? Like what do you... Yeah, let's give a little rundown of the story to start off.
yeah, so it kind of starts off from 2 points of view. And in the book, I'm not going to lie, it was a little hard for me to get into because the format, it's very it's interview style. So all you're getting is blurbs. Daisy says this, Billy says this, and those are the two main characters. So it's a lot of switching back and forth between them. But it was hard to get into at first, but it's really about where they were at in their respective music careers and the path to them coming together and all working as one. But Daisy was kind of a troubled kid, and her parents didn't really give a shit about her. And so when she was like 14, 15, she starts going to all these clubs in Hollywood, like Troubadour and Viper Room, like the popular ones like that. And she's just, hanging with the bands there and sneaking in, drinking, partying. And Billy kind of has a similar path in a way. He's definitely into the party scene when he's younger. And he gets a little bit too far deep into that, a little bit in trouble with his drinking and drugs, but he starts a band with his brother and a bunch of his brother's friends, and that band is what eventually evolves into the Six, and then Daisy Jones kind of works her way into being an independent artist, I would say.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess she does actually like formally join the band, but she always kind of maintains distance for one reason or the other, right? Like she's a wild child. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, she's definitely a wild child. And in the book, I think she's one of her talents is songwriting. And so she does a lot of songwriting, and she ends up dating this guy. I can't remember his name, but they show a little bit of that in the Amazon series. And he basically
I think his name was Blah Blah.
Oh yeah, Blah Blah. Thank you.
Yeah, it was literally. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, Blah, Blah, yeah, he's super good in it.
But yeah, so she kind of is just like singing like a melody, and he ends up like ripping off her melody and her lyrics and reads through her songbook, and he basically uses her.
Blah, blah.
I know, such a dick.
Yeah.
But he basically uses her to get to stardom and never credits her, never does anything like that. And she's a songwriter on a couple other hit artists. And I think she just reaches the point where she's like, why am I writing everyone else's hits? Why don't I try and make my own? And that's where
Yeah.
Teddy Price comes in. And I like his character.
Teddy Price. Yeah, I do too. He's just like that kind of always knows better, like stern black guy. Like he's just cool as hell. Like I like Teddy Price in this show a lot.
Yeah.
How do you feel about their choice for Daisy Jones and for Billy? Like, is that what you were picturing when you were reading the book? Like, more or less?
Yeah. And I wouldn't say necessarily that us as fans fan casted her exactly, but I would say when you look at who everyone was picturing for Daisy Jones, it was described, okay, red hair, kind of like the fringy look, very just like hippie boho. And she obviously does a lot of drugs, so she's kind of like cocaine skinny, I would say. And I think that's kind of, she definitely fits the vibe of what the character should be. And it's just all the better that she's Elvis's granddaughter or whatever, great granddaughter. I'm not sure. One of those.
Right. Riley Keough. Am I saying it right?
Yeah, I think it's
so.
I think it's
Keough. Yeah, just Keough.
Keough. Yeah.
Keough. Thanks, Paul Rudd. So good. Okay, what about Billy? Because right at the beginning, they call the band the Dunn Brothers. Yeah, and he's one of the founding Dunn brothers, right?
Yeah, so he's Billy Dunn, and then his brother is Graham, and I think it's initially them two, and then it's a couple of Graham's friends, and Billy's kind of the older brother, the really talented musician, and kind of carrying the weight of all these like little kids on his back. But they end up being pretty good too. But in terms of the character, the actor who's playing him, what is it, Sam Claflin?
Yeah, Claflin.
Yeah. I like him. I think he's a really talented actor, but he just was not at all what I was picturing for the role. And I know it's kind of dumb, but his name's Billy, and all I could picture was Billy, like the guy who played Billy in Stranger Things. And that was when I was reading the book, that's who I was envisioning. And so I wasn't expecting him, Sam, and this, he looks super skinny and just, I don't know, just wasn't what I envisioned. But I think he's done a really excellent job.
Yeah. He's a really good looking guy, this guy, Sam Claflin or whatever. But it's funny when they're in high school, supposedly, and he still looks 40 when he's supposed to be like a 16-year-old or whatever it is, 18-year-old. You're like, all right.
Yeah. And like, that actually kind of goes to one of my points I was going to bring up, is that in the book, it's supposed to be, the interview is supposed to be when all of the main people in the band were in their 70s and they're looking back. And so obviously that would be really hard to do with actors that are, in their 20s, 30s. So for the show purposes of the show, it's only 20 years in the future rather than like 40 or 50 years in the future, which I think was kind of a good call.
Nice. Did not know that.
Yeah.
Right on. Was there any other differences that you noticed? Okay, what are some of the differences that they changed from the show to the book? And then did you like those changes or did you not like those changes?
Yeah, there's a ton. So first and foremost, the band is called, it's Daisy Jones and the Six. And so when it's just the Six on their own, you're like, okay, who are the six people? And in the book, it's actual six band members. And one of the guys was actually cut entirely from the show. His name was Pete Loving, I think was his character's name. And he kind of wasn't like super relevant in the book itself. He would kind of pop in every now and then, but they had a comment from him at the end. And he was basically like, oh, I don't have much to say about my time in the Six. It was fun. It was whatever. So I know some of the show editors said it wasn't really a big deal cutting him out, and they did it to kind of give other characters like Camilla and Simone more of a character arc. So that being said, that was one of the people they just cut out. And then, so there's like five of them and you're like, okay, who's the six? And in the show, it's Camilla, who's Billy's girlfriend. She becomes also the sixth band member.
Right. Absolutely. In real life, of one of Leonardo DiCaprio's ex-lovers, right?
Heyo.
Yeah.
But then she turned 20 and he was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
or something like that, right?
Yeah. Pretty much. But yeah, so he got cut out. There was another guy, I think, in the beginning that goes to dental school or something. And in the book, it was a lot darker. It was, he got drafted into the Vietnam War and ended up dying in Cambodia. So they gave him,
Whoa.
they did him pretty dirty in the book, but in the show.
Yeah. What a change.
But in the show, they made it a little bit more lighthearted, like, oh, I'm going to dental school. So,
which is funny because then in the show, they're like, dude, you're going to dental school? What an idiot. So, like, they've still made him look like a complete fool.
That means dying in Brazil.
Yeah, I mean, rather than going out like a hero, now he's just some loser that chose dental school.
Pretty much.
I mean, it's at least he didn't die in the war, so that's good.
Yeah, but I think those two characters were really cut out to give more airtime to Camilla and Simone and Simone especially, I know, she's like Daisy's best friend and is a lot of times the only person that really cares for Daisy. And she's, this beautiful Black woman, and she's in the disco scene, I guess. And yeah, like, I don't really know what to call it, but it's very like disco vibes. That's her type of music. And she's kind of in the book not mentioned a whole lot. Like, she's kind of a side character and just comes in to support Daisy when that's needed. But she has a lot bigger of a role in the show, which I actually appreciate because, in the show, she's this queer Black woman and navigating what that means in the 70s and what that looks like. And I think it gave it another component that I liked. And you really come to like her as a character and appreciate her own arc. So I agreed with that choice, but yeah.
Nice. Right on. Nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely liking it. Some of it is a little interesting, I will say that, but it's nice to bounce it off of you and be like, okay, is this what happened in the book? And you could tell me no, or it is. But I am actually enjoying it, which is pretty cool. Let's see, they're not even finished with the season yet, right? There's only 7 episodes out at the time of this recording. Do you recommend this show for people?
I do.
In your humble opinion?
I do. I mean, I think there's been mixed opinions. Some people are like, oh, the music is not that good and whatever. I mean, the music's not like Fleetwood Mac level. I'll give you that.
It's not a musical.
It's not like the author wrote lyrics into the book, and a lot of those lyrics have been altered or changed in some way, and which is fine. Like, it was done to fit what the book or what the show is trying to do. And I can appreciate that. But I recommend it. I think it's, it's fun. It's like cool to see, kind of that 70s era time. I think, a lot of people will enjoy it.
Yeah. Right on. Nice. Jake, have you watched it?
I haven't watched it, but I am into, like, who doesn't love Fleetwood Mac? And also too, I feel like Amazon's doing a really great job at bringing together these very, using the IP from, so for example, this book, and also things like Lord of the Rings, and bringing stories that are intriguing and fascinating. I think, everybody's going to have complaints, but I think the content is fantastic, and it also gives a wide variety of options for viewers. So,
yeah.
More power to you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The last thing I will say, though, that I wanted to bring up about the show, I'm not...
Actually, can you say two last things? Four?
Just one.
Six.
I mean...
Okay.
Yeah, so sorry.
That's good, babe.
I think that I'm not super sold on Camilla's character yet, because that was another really big difference for me between the book and the show. And then in the book, Camilla is very big, kind of like a pushover, like, Billy cheats on her, or needs to go to rehab, or he does just like terrible things. And in the book, she's very much like kind of like bends over and is like, whatever, like that's fine, like just be there for me, and I'm pregnant, so be there for me and the baby. And I get that.
She's got no Latina spice.
Well, she's not even, I don't think in the book she's Latina. And I think in the show, I liked that decision, of course, naturally. But
I wonder why.
but I think they were trying to give her character in the show a little bit more like backbone, which I can appreciate. And, you know, in the book, she doesn't really have a career or anything like that. And in the show, she's a photographer, and I can appreciate that. But yeah, I don't know that I'm just sold on. I like the actress, but I don't know for sure yet if she's like the right Camilla, and that's my only issue so far.
Got
It's taken me out of it a little.
Nice. Yeah, it's super minor, but yeah, it seems like, yeah, it's definitely noticeable. I mean, she seems like what you were saying, when she has those moments of standing up for herself and she, like, you know, shows the backbone, she's great. It's like, I think we were talking about, it's like, I don't know if I buy her as like a mom. She just, like,
and it's like, I'm not sure if I'm seeing
weird.
the chemistry 100% between her and Billy. And it's like,
oh, right.
And in the book, you know, she has an affair, and it's like with her like her high school sweetheart or something. And then in the show, it's like she's having an affair with one of the other bandmates. And it's kind of like, I get it. It kind of contributes to that particular bandmate's resentment towards Billy, and it works. But there were just some choices where I'm like, just curious. Why? Like, why?
Right. Yeah. Definitely. Well, that's it. Yeah, awesome. I mean, I'm really enjoying it. I can see what you're saying, and yeah, hit up Christina if you want to know any more differences between the show and the book. But that's great.
Yeah,
I've been liking it.
And
Sweet.
watch it.
All right,
yeah.
we are nice.
Do it.
We are on to Ted Lasso. We got the new season 3, episode 1, just launched on Apple Plus.
Woo, woo.
And yeah, it's cool. It's great to have Ted Lasso back, I would say. I mean, I needed some of that chipper positivity in my life. And
I love him.
Yeah, Jason.
I love him in the mustache, you know?
That mustache. Oh, it's so regal. So we start off this season with his kid, and we can see that his kid's been with him for 6 weeks, I guess, over summer break, or or something along those lines. And I'm trying to think. We're just catching up with everybody. So we're catching up with Roy Kent and Keeley.
Yeah, it's kind of just showing like, where's everything now? You know, it's super sad when he's saying bye to his little baby son on the plane. And then, you know, he's on his way home talking to the therapist. And it's like, okay, he's still going to therapy. That's noted.
Sorry, that was me doing the intro song and agreeing. But yes, he is definitely. I don't know. What did you think about it, Drake, as well? With the way it started.
I think I compared it to, if we remember, season 8, episode 1 of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, where it was right after. It was right after the George Floyd situation, and so they pushed back their episode or their season 8 release because of that, and they essentially digressed and took a bunch of stuff out. And episode 8 was essentially like packing all of that emotional current event type situation into that one episode, that first episode. So it was very like stickery. Like, look at all these stickers on this thing.
Okay.
As the season went on, it got a lot better. But why do I compare it to episode 1 of season 3 for Ted Lasso? For when I was watching it, I was like, it's giving me everything I loved about the previous 2 seasons, like Keeley saying floppy cock, or
that's good.
Rebecca saying that you said we were going to win after getting spit in the face, or some tropes that we've seen quite consistently, and some buttons we've seen quite consistently from season 1 and season 2, and I liked it. I loved it. It was a lot of fanfare. And I think it was great in the sense of building up to how it's going to digress and chop up into the confrontation between Nate and Coach Beard and Roy Kent and Ted Lasso. Rebecca, obviously, with her husband moving forward, and then how the players are going to then continue to progress forward. But I thought it was a great season 1 start, or I should say episode 1, season 3 start. It was very fanfare from the beginning. So for me, it just felt like, oh, they're just giving me all the buttons.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the Wonder Kid, the Wonderkins?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, why is Nate such a dick now?
Like, just a
white-haired
such
dick.
And
So
I hate him. I think that's the point, is that you just hate him.
Yeah. You can see how when he digressed from he's still acting like that towards Rebecca's ex-husband, where he's like, he wants to be the person that's in charge and be the man, right? And he's trying to find his way and find his respect and find his love and his acceptance by doing the things that he thinks is going to make him that way, which is the opposite of what Ted does. Ted is like a perpetuator of joy and positivity, and Nate hates that Ted still gets the respect and love that he gets based off of that, when Nate has to be this person that he kind of doesn't want to be in order to receive the things that he needs. And one of the huge elements of the show is the positive vibe throughout, and how that can kind of be overall better than going about it in the way that Nate's going about it. Does that kind of resonate?
Yeah,
sure.
That's a good comparison. I didn't look at it that way, and it makes sense. Like, you want to give the main hero, so to speak, the protagonist, like a big antagonist to kind of battle, and who closer than Nate? Again, I always use this example, but it's. I saw this argument a lot online, and I kind of agree with it. It was Wanda from WandaVision at the end, right? Scarlet Witch at the end, and then boom, Multiverse of Madness, bad guy. So you're like, whoa, what happened? Like, if you look at what's going on behind the scenes and all they've laid out, it makes sense.
But it feels
it's so
abrupt.
Fast. Feels abrupt. Exactly. And it feels like that for like Nate, for me too. But it's great because now they have an enemy that was like close to the heart, and man, I don't know, but I just hate him. I hate him so much.
The vibes that he gave me, like trying to impress, what's his name, Rupert? Trying to impress Rupert. It's very like
that wouldn't work on Shania Twain. That doesn't impress her much.
It just was giving me like little boy trying to like please his dad in like whatever way he could, and when they're at the press conference and he's kind of like looking.
Called out.
No, oh my gosh. But just like, him looking towards over at Rupert, like, okay, I said something like super asshole. Like, do you like that? And then like seeing like that, it's like, okay, like, yeah, he's laughing and that's like validating for him. And it's sad, but it's like, that's what it's about for him, kind of, is like proving himself, getting that validation from Rupert. And it's sad. I don't know. Sad.
Yeah, I feel like
you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I mean, when you consider what the whole series or what this season is about, it is kind of about finding themselves, right? Because everybody's kind of questioning, especially Ted is questioning whether or not he wants to. Why is he here?
Yeah.
Right. You mean like in the world or just in England?
Maybe a little bit of both, honestly.
Maybe a little bit of both.
Let's start with England.
Yeah, start with England.
I just think those themes of like fatherhood are there. It's like you're saying, like, Ted's very like, oh, why am I here when my kid like needs me back in the US? Like, should I be there? And it's like this. And then I don't know. I just thought it was like very like father son with Nate and Rupert. And I think that's just going to be kind of a theme throughout until Ted really figures out what his plan is.
Yeah, absolutely. Bet. Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe a little bit of a hot take. I wanted it to be funnier. It was not as funny.
Agree.
It was very heartfelt, and I do appreciate that. But I wanted to laugh more. And after watching this episode, I went back to season 1, and that is funny. It's like a really, really funny show. And I wanted this season to be, or at least this episode to be funnier. Like, granted, it's setting up the whole arc of the season. We know this is the last season. There's a lot of loose ends they got to tie up. They still got to make this season worth watching. Mm-hmm. So like, I get it, but it's like, all right, give me the jokes though. Give me the joke. I want to laugh. All right, I want Led Tasso like pretty soon to come in. I want Roy Kent just to be throwing F-bombs randomly in places like all that stuff.
I wonder how much French tilts there will be. I mean, considering a lot of the twists and turns that you get episode 1 or season 1 and season 2, where there's a random person coming in, changing the dynamic, or there's some sort of mini drama inside of the group of individuals, or there's some complete outside thing that we have to deal with, etc. You had those, shout outs of Joe Rogan when Keely's in her office, or you have the beginning portion where his son is like, I'm ready to go back home, but not necessarily to the political climate, et cetera, et cetera. So there's these small little buttons that I think were meant to hit a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But I don't know, it didn't really hit as hard as it could.
I will say,
soft love taps.
I totally forgot about the Keely and Roy situation. And so I was I was sad about that all over again. I was like, wait, what? Like, I love them together.
Yes, I know. I forgot about that they broke up last season, and they didn't even know if they really broke up. So that conversation is interesting. Yeah. And you're like, wait, did they break up? They don't even know.
It's like, let's explain this to a 5-year-old, but the 5-year-old's going to be like, what are you guys doing? Like, what is actually going on?
I know. So it's leading them to get back together, right?
Hopefully.
So then does it make that season 2 ending even anything? Like it feels like it totally demeans that, because we know they're eventually going to get back together. At least I think so. I think that's the direction they're going. Because the niece is basically telling him, like, why did you guys do it? It's dumb. Just because you're busy.
The niece is teeing it up, and that's all we need is for them to formally come back together. I don't know. I still think it's like they had to do something with them too. It couldn't just be plain sailing, as they say in Love Island. Right. Couldn't just be plain sailing from there on out. Yeah. They had to have some struggles,
That's true. It was early days, so yes, I understand the struggles.
Yeah. It is kind of interesting how the episode 1 didn't teed up certain things that we were looking forward to from season 2, but not necessarily giving us too much about what's going to happen within this season. Because season 2 had 12, 13 episodes, something like that.
Oh, really?
So it's going to be how long season 3 is going to be.
Yeah, I believe that sounds like a real number for our shows. So yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's 72,000 minutes, I think, total, right? I don't know. Yeah. Don't check my math there. But no, it was it's good. It's a start. It's a nice start. It's nice to have these characters back. I'm excited to see what they do with it this season. And again, this is the final season, so I think we're going to get some tears. We're gonna get some awes, some cute laughs. We're gonna eventually see the Nate softened up and friends with Ted again. But I don't know. Excited about it.
Will they win the Premier League? Well,
I don't think they win. I don't think they win.
You both actually went to a soccer game yesterday.
We sure did.
2 days ago. How does that compare? I mean, obviously Ted Lasso helped to kind of salivate the sensory glands, but what was it like loving a Ted Lasso, watching a Wrexham AFC, and then going to a game in your hometown? How did that help? How did that hinder? What was it like?
I think it made me more excited to go. Although I will say I still didn't understand anything that was going on, but I was like, okay, we like the turquoise ones. We're rooting for them. And my day kind of soured when some lady poured Thomas's hot dog all over me.
Hot dog.
Yeah.
So from there on out was not my favorite day. But I think, watching Ted Lasso before that was kind of good, because it did make me a little bit more interested. I was like, okay, I know there's a goalie. I don't know any of the other position names, but
that's awesome.
No, yeah, it was fun, man. I was so hyped for it, and just the energy there was super electric. It was kind of raining too, but it didn't seem to sour the mood at all.
No one cared.
And no one cared. Nice. The goals were firing. There was a guy behind me who was just like, I don't even mean this in a derogatory way. I mean it in like actually a hilarious way, but like he was winding up all the Spanish words, and he was like doing all the cheers, and there was like a lot of cheers in Spanish, and he was just saying it funny. And then we became friends. He wanted to show me his toenails were the same color as my beer can. So he took off his shoes and socks and showed me his feet. Apparently, Christina and my aunt thought it was weird.
I will say it wasn't well received by myself, but if you're into that, I'm not here to kink shame. So
I'm not into it, but I'm just gonna say, like, I don't mind a man's, if he wants to show off his nails, I don't mind it. I can't show off my nails for various reasons, so hey, all the power to you.
Yeah,
and he was right; they were baby blue.
Very MGK vibes.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Very Will from Love Island.
Yeah.
If you're watching that. Yeah, we do get sucked into the reality TV.
Yeah, if you guys ever want to talk about that, you can have me back on. I'm your girl.
Did they win the Loyals?
They did. Yeah, they did.
Nice.
Like, I think it was 3-0.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
It was, man, it was sick. It was really sick. Shout out to San Diego Loyals. I will be back for more games. That was fun
It was
time.
very fun, I will say.
That's
hell yeah.
Okay.
Well,
cool.
On. Well, that's kind of, I don't know. That's it on Ted Lasso. Do you guys have anything else?
I don't. I'm just
Watch the show.
excited. Yeah, I'm excited for the rest of the season.
Right on. All right. Well, I think you got to get going, my lovely wife.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for dropping some knowledge on Daisy Jones and the Six and what you thought about the season opening for Ted Lasso. Of course, the door is always open for you if you want to come back on. But appreciate it.
Thanks, my dear.
You.
Yeah. Love you guys, and thank you for having me. It was super fun.
Right on.
Love you too.
All
Thanks
right.
for coming on.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
You're amazing.
I know. Bye.
Bye. I know. She knows. Well, that's awesome, man. No, it was really good. I can definitely see us going to more games. I've already bought a hat. I'm wearing the hat. It's like, geez, they sucked me in already.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Really cool stuff, man. So definitely go check out your local professional team if you have one. Soccer or football is where it's at. Like, it's way more enjoyable than you think. And also, there was F1 this weekend. That was an awesome race as well.
Yeah.
So sports are firing right now. But let's get into something that was really cool that is also firing that I'm excited for coming out. I want to say April 24th, I want to say. But we got a new trailer for Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Yeah. Were you able to watch it?
I wasn't able to watch it, but
Okay.
I was watching IGN reviews and gameplay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so the trailer really just was more gameplay. There's like a little hint of the story. You get to see some of the characters from the first game. You see where they are now, and we find out it's been 5 years, I think, since the last game ended.
Sick.
So there's a little bit of a time gap, and we catch back up with Cal. Yeah, and it's just that. But the gameplay looks badass. It looks like there's like team takedowns in a way. And I don't know if that means you get to play like it's 2-player or if there's like an AI person who just comes in with you and you get to just do badass combos on people. But it looks dope. What did you think about the gameplay and what you've seen of it?
I think being like a Star Wars game fan, obviously you and I played Jedi Power Battles when we were younger, and that game was the bee's knees. So I can only, having played the Jedi, the previous one, what was that called?
Schtickin, I don't know.
I don't remember. The one before this one.
What was it? All right. Anyways.
It was like the closest thing to like a what you would want out of a Star Wars game. Hypothetically speaking, if it is like multiplayer moving forward, that would be super awesome. And I think it adds a lot to the Star Wars realm. I'm hoping they incorporate a lot of this canon into what we're going to be seeing out of Disney Plus coming soon into the Star Wars world. So
Fallen Order.
Fallen Order. Yes.
And I think we will. Like, I was surprised. I thought Obi-Wan might be tied into it somehow because they had the Inquisitors. So they had Inquisitors are like a big part of the Fallen Order game. Like, you fight a bunch of them, and then we saw Inquisitors in Obi-Wan, and then you see Inquisitors in Rebels, and it's like interesting. So I could see them bringing Cal Kestis, and that guy has said, the actor that plays Cal Kestis is like, I would come in and be on a show if they asked me to.
I mean,
so he's down. He's like young enough. He obviously is Cal because they molded it right after how he looks. Yeah. And if anything, man, it's like we just saw it work in The Last of Us. Just bring this dude in, and he's been on other shows. Like, I think he was in what's that one? Shameless. He was in Shameless.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he's a good actor. So like, bring him into Star Wars. People love that character. Let's do this.
Yeah, I'm wondering, that'd be so great if what if they're already doing that in Ahsoka, or what if they're already doing that for some shows coming up? That'd be
tight. They also have to do it in a way too that it doesn't mess with the video game. Like, so the video game story, this could be a true crossover from a video game story into a show, which I don't know. Have they ever done anything like that?
that's my recollection. But
how crazy would that be?
that'd
That would be sick. They should do that. All right.
Here we go.
Come on, Disney. Come on, Favreau. Come on, Filoni. Let's get this going. But I think that would be good. The gameplay looks insane for anybody out there. If you haven't, the first one was really challenging in a lot of ways. Like the timing has to be precise on blocks, and that was actually pretty hard. You know, like I don't know. It was one of those games where I actually had to like turn down the hard difficulty to beat it because I would get so frustrated at parts. Like it's one of those games where like you die over and over again playing the boss. But I wonder if they're gonna edit that a little bit or make like the windows larger. You know, the timing, the blocking windows or the dodging windows larger for the easier settings. But it was a fun game. I think you should go back. The story is badass. You get to go see Darth Vader's, you know, like hideout. I forgot where on Mustafar, I think. Mustafar, and so you get to go there again. This really cool story about these Inquisitors, and it all comes down to finding the holocrons. Which, spoiler alert for that game. But hey, the Last Survivor. What is it? Why can't I think of the name right? Jedi Survivor.
Fallen Order. Jedi Survivor.
Yeah, I mean it's coming out soon, but dude. So they find these holocrons to find Force-sensitive kids. Is like what you're trying to get.
Oh wow!
Yeah, which is cool. Like, and we've kind of seen that in Rebels, I think, as well. So it's all getting tied together. Which I kind of just want to jump into reviewing. Let's just scramble this. I want to just review the Mandalorian episode 3. Let's just get into it.
Episode 3. That's when they go back to.
Wait, okay, so
what's episode 3? What the
all right, Drake's brain just short-circuited.
Scrambled.
They pull them out of the living waters, right? So it's Bo-Katan and Din Djarin pulled out of the water. They get redeemed at the last episode 2, and no. So they're redeemed. They go back to their planet. On the way back to Kalevala,
they
get attacked.
Fucking flight scene.
Yes, badass dogfight.
Badass.
You're right, on Kalevala, full on, just really badass. Like her ship is super cool. I don't know what the name of it is, but we get to see Din Djarin in the N1 fighter, and that thing's fast as hell. Yes,
coming in. What was the man? That was what? Do you think this flying fight scene was better than the one in Andor with the single ship where he had all those extras?
Single ship with the extras. It's different. It's different. Like I want to almost compare it more to like Top Gun.
Oh,
you know, it felt like some of the shots to me were very Top Gun-esque, where you're like they're flying very low, they're going in between these canyons, they're doing quick maneuvers, and then you were getting a lot of this kind of back shot following her fighter, which was cool. The stalling the N1 fighter to then drop back down and shoot was straight out of like a Top Gun maneuver, which I thought was pretty tight. There was just some really cool ways they used the ships in it. This was up there as like one of the best dogfights I think I've seen in a show,
definitely.
A movie.
And then Bo-Katan gets that like bad post-traumatic, the tears of the bombing of her home planet where they're bombing her.
Yeah.
Her home where she sits down and lounges in that stone chair for days.
Yeah, by herself.
By herself.
Just lonely. Yeah, doesn't watch anything, doesn't read anything, just looks off into space.
Yeah.
Kind of like an old Roman emperor or something.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, so right off the bat, boom, you get action. Then we see, they have to escape because they're about to get overrun. We cut back to the Senate floor with Dr. Pershing. And right off the bat, you're like, okay, I remember, like, when I saw him, I'm like, okay, I remember this dude, but where do I remember him from? And I'm like, oh, okay. After, I'm like, okay, season 1, that's where we saw him. And he was trying to get the baby. Show me the baby. Or is it a child? Show me the child. But they're trying to pull the blood, and his whole thing is like cloning, right? But I like it because they go into detail of what he was actually trying to do a little bit more. And if you really pay attention to the conversation, it's not that he was trying to clone. It's that he was trying to pull DNA from something and move it into something else to splice it. So you're like, oh, okay. So leaving even more credence to what I think to the fact that they were using this type of technology or this experimentation to reclone Snoke.
Yeah.
Because this eventually leads to Snoke, right?
To creating, a lot of the online situations have been talking about the potentiality of that technology to be able to get the most amount of midichlorians into one human being, and most likely leading to the Snoke identity.
Absolutely, yeah. And somebody was saying though, like midichlorians is like a physical thing that can be in your body, like whether you can explain it or not. So like having a body that can handle or has more midichlorians in it is what you would need, especially if you're going to be the Emperor Palpatine and then move into another body, right? He's able to transport his consciousness into Snoke. So that Snoke body needed to have midichlorians ready to go in there, so to speak.
Yeah, that's so crazy, the general identity of what they were doing, and then bringing back what was that female from not only Moff Gideon's ship but also not the multiverse, the quantumverse.
Yeah, man. Tough day, huh?
Yeah.
Tough day, but
wow.
Yeah.
Things and stuff.
But yes, no, she was in. That's where we've seen her last, and I want to say her name was like Nelia Kane. I got my notes somewhere around here, but we'll look it up real fast. But so she's having a big year. She's been in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. She's back in the Mandalorian, so she's just crushing it. And her name is Elia Kane.
Yeah.
And and so right from the jump, are you like, she's gonna double cross him or something's gonna go wrong?
I didn't think that. I was like, man, she's just really making friends up in here. I didn't see the double cross coming at all. And maybe that was just because I was kind of taken aback by just the whole situation. I was like, wow, these people are really just trying to make it work, and try to move forward. I believed it. And I was surprised.
Definitely. Dude, I almost want to take a step back in the episode, but it's like Coruscant. We got to see so much of Coruscant in this episode.
The mountain that was peeking out of the top of Coruscant, that was so cool.
Right? Was that a cool concept? Yeah, like the whole planet is encased in a city, and just that one piece of the mountain is the only part of the planet you could actually see. I was like,
that's so crazy.
That's a crazy concept. I liked it. I liked seeing more of Coruscant and the life. Because we always get to see, like, we see the Senate, or we see the Jedi temples, or we see the offices, but we don't get to walk around the city and see what it's like for everybody else. And it seems like maybe when you go to New York City, there's all these flashing lights and like, performers and magic going on. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. And like, ice cream. They're doing like normal people things. And we're seeing a lot in this episode. We get to see how people feel about the New Republic. Right? In Andor, we're getting to see how people felt under the impression of the Empire. In Clone Wars, we got to see the Old Republic. But this is the first time we're getting to see how people feel about the New Republic in the world, which is really interesting, and I really liked it. And there's even that part where Dr. Pershing does his speech, and he comes out, and one of those guys is like, New Republic, Old Republic, Empire, whatever, it's all the same to me. He's like some rich, snooty guy, you know what I mean? And that is fun. Yeah, it's just interesting. It's like, oh, cool. I love how Star Wars... with the one timeline, we can see how much the world or the galaxy changes depending on where you are in the timeline. Yeah. It's like really cool.
I remember seeing the Rebel Alliance emblem as well too a lot in on like the uniforms on the crest on the side.
Yeah, the Imperial crest. Yeah.
Yeah, the Imperial crest. And I was thinking like, man, that's kind of crazy to think about how this is where we've gotten to.
Right.
Even though the quote unquote rebellion is kind of meant to be that case, you get that new crest feel, but even then it's still just a governmental thing that not everybody's going to agree with. Right. There's always going to be trifle and tribulation. Absolutely. All of that. It's just interesting.
Yeah, because when you take it back to the original Star Wars, the one from starting the 70s, 80s, right? It's like we think of all the rebels as like, these are the good guys. They're fighting the bad guys, right? And now we're at this point in Star Wars where you can go to the people who are living in these galaxies and see that to them, it's all the same. It's just some government taking over. And that's what they do to Dr. Pershing. Like, they're like, hey, listen, we know you're smart. We know you're capable, but unfortunately, this is your job now. And you just got to do it, dude. Sorry, this is how the system is set up. Like, you just got to do your job till we can, till we can figure out what else to do with you, basically. And I loved how because of that, Elia is able to kind of push his buttons to keep, hey, what if you could do your research? Weren't you trying to help other people? You know, and you get to see him slowly manipulated. And I kind of now bring it back to the double cross. It's like, damn, did not see that coming. And how far she could push him into like being uncomfortable for what he thought was the right thing was cool. I know that online this is actually getting a lot of flack this episode, but I actually really enjoyed it. And I said I got a lot of Andor vibes from this episode, and I loved Andor. Yeah. But it's like it's Andor smushed right in the middle of the Mandalorian, and for some reason people didn't really like that. I don't know. I guess I'm confused why people wouldn't like. What do you have any theories on that?
I mean, I think people just want to be on one bus or another, and they kind of want to segregate themselves to like, oh, this is the one cool thing that I like, and if you like other things, then it muddies the what I like kind of a thing.
No, you think it's like a petty thing?
I think it's rather a petty than
like, thing? Or just I was thinking like, do you think people didn't want that vibe? You know, like Andor has a very specific vibe.
Yeah, it's a very specific vibe, but to also see that that's kind of the case in this universe, like. And I'll zoom it out a little even more, right? When we think about what's happening here, you're thinking about individuals who are trying to find purpose and meaning in this galaxy of just everybody's kind of trying to find some sort of control, right? Whether it's themselves, whether it's the galaxy,
it's the
power,
search for power.
And so for example, Dr. Pershing, right? He's trying to find purpose and meaning in, I wanted to do this thing. I can't do that thing anymore. Now I'm in this thing. I'm just trying to do the best that I can here. And even with Kane, she's trying to then do her best in that situation for what she believes in. So it's just a balancing and an unbalancing of the quote unquote force, right? Consistently around. And I think that when you get down to the nitty gritty, like to see elements from other places, not necessarily like storylines, but like, yeah, of course there's going to be some sneaky over here, and of course there's going to be some huge battle over here. Like it's because everything is interconnected. Everything has that same Star Wars, fight for meaning vibe, and to not have it is kind of a disservice to the fact of that there's a lot of commonality in this world, this universe.
You kind of touched it. Why does she double cross him? And then why does she then mind flare to 10?
I feel like the mind flare to 10 is probably because she has some sort of darkness in her. I mean, she was working with Moff Gideon. She was pressing the buttons with a very stark face.
Totally. I don't think it's because she's a good guy, though. So.
Yeah, she's definitely not a good guy. Why do I think she double crossed? I mean, I think this is kind of like the Rogue One of how Palpatine's trying to get to his power in the latest three, the last three trilogy of the trilogy.
Yeah, creating the First Order.
Yeah, and so
you think she's okay, good. Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking. Was like, do you think she's already working for the First Order?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah, because I was like, why go through all that trouble, like sneak him on the ship, set him up, boom, she rats on him, busts him, and then like zaps the crap out of his mind with the mind flare. I'm like, why do that? I don't really know exactly what her motivations are, I guess, but I'm like, she might be working for the First Order already. And this is one of the first people we're seeing trying to implant themselves in the New Republic on Coruscant, right? It's like, because if you want to control anything, it all goes down on Coruscant. And I'm like, it's just, it was interesting. I'm like, ooh, is this the first sign?
Because if it is the first sign of the First Order, right, how long did it take for them to create the Starkiller base?
Yeah, well, they do it, right? They're like making it on the periphery, right? Like on the outer edges of the galaxy, so like nobody would fall. And that's like where the First Order kind of starts popping up.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you think we'll see, like let's say like a mini series or like a Rogue One type movie where it's mostly just how that becomes formed and more of like the dark side behind it? Because we haven't really gotten a show that's just dark side based or antagonist based.
That would be cool.
Could be interesting.
I would not say no to that. That would be awesome. Like where we follow just a random Sith for a while. That would be That'd be tight.
Yeah.
Why don't they do that? I don't know if that'd be interesting because that doesn't really align with, I think, how people view Star Wars, which is like family friendly entertainment. But we'd never say never, because who would have thought we would have gotten an Andor? And Andor fucking ruled.
Yeah, Andor is definitely the dark nitty gritty of the rebellion. Why not take it further? Because, I mean, we're seeing the tyranny that the Empire and the First Order, New Republic, are creating. So why not, take it to like a, PG-13 type situation and, give a fuller picture of the Star Wars universe would be new and refreshing.
Super down with it. That sounds awesome. But the end of this episode, we go back to Bo and Din, and they are, not only is Din Djarin redeemed, which boom, that happened super fast. It's really crazy. This is like, wow, what's the rest of the season going to be? But also now Bo-Katan is redeemed as well. And I love that she asked him, hey, did you see the mythosaur? He's like, or she didn't say that. She's like, hey, did you see anything down in the waters? And he's like, no, what are you talking about? And she's like, So she keeps it to herself. And then they both go back to the conclave or whatever of the remaining Mandalorians led by the armorer. And she's also redeemed now. So she also is part of that Mandalorian sect. She, could also potentially be the Mandalorian if she gets her hand on the Darksaber. So I like how it's not just Din's redemption story, but it's her redemption story. And how is she going to, eventually they're either going to have to fight or they're either going to have to you know what I mean? Because it's going either way here, right? I mean, she's going to want the Darksaber. All she's wanted is to rule, and she's done everything she could to try to rule, and it's always fell on her face. And now she's so close to the person that has the tool to where she's the leader of Mandalore, and she obviously likes and respects him. And also he's re-emerged her sense of faith in the Mandalorian belief. Interesting. Did a good job.
A lot of in reading some of the other editorials about what they think about not only who the armorer is, but what's Bo-Katan's long game. Obviously with the Mythosaur and Boba Fett riding the Rancor, we got the potentiality of, like you said, the Darksaber becoming and then another leader, another Mandalore coming into the fray, which would be canonically pretty chill beans, because the Mandalorians do kind of end up, standing up against and with. So I think there's a lot of interesting things to move forward. I do think they're going to have a predecessor, or not a predecessor, what is post a predecessor? Someone after?
Post a predecessor. These are confusing words, man. What's the pre-post word for the future and past?
Yeah,
I don't know, dude.
So I think they're going to make. I think they're going to make another force sensitive Mandalorian.
Ooh, Grogu.
I mean,
there.
All the roads lead to there, and then it only makes sense, especially because of how much I think value it would have in Star Wars as a whole, not only in real life but in the actual universe. But yeah, that's just speculation.
Right on. Absolutely. So really dug this episode. Curious to hear what everybody else has to say about it. But man, I liked it. I thought it was really good. Really, really good. So let's just throw another curveball into this whole thing, and let's talk some news. Now that we've jumped all over our layout, let's talk some news, man. Lance Reddick, unfortunately, has passed away at a very early age.
60.
60, yeah, so young. So young. He was, throughout the John Wick series, has been one of the main characters, based out of the Continental. He's been an ally of John Wick, went on an absolutely killing spree, I think in John Wick 2, I want to say. I think it was John Wick 2, which was awesome. And just phenomenal actor. He was also a character in Destiny 2. He's been in some other shows as well, but so he's passed away. I don't know. Thoughts on it?
I just think kind of befitting to a degree, because I think one of his most popular and most recent roles was the John Wick series, and I believe this is going to be the last John Wick that they have on the plate. And to have such like I guess a prolific actor, kind of being able to bring the John Wick series to life, to be that supportive character, to see individuals kind of go so early, especially in a time and place now where the average life is like what, 80 90, depends.
I mean, damn, there's like people out there that are like in their 115s, or something like that. 100 teens, maybe that makes more sense. It's very sad. We should all be thankful that we get to see him one more time in John Wick 4, I believe. I think he brought so much to that role, and there was just this outpouring of emotion on the internet from various people, celebrities, and regular people alike, that he was just such an awesome guy in real life. And I think it's more sad when you hear that kind of stuff, but also we're lucky that somebody was around to show us their work, to contribute, and for us to be here to enjoy it is a blessing. And so R.I.P. to definitely rest in peace to Lance Reddick.
Yes.
Very sad. All right. Next bit of news, which was, this is like weirdly, it shouldn't be news, but it kind of is. And I was just wanted to chat about it. There's probably more important things that are going on, but this has to do with Tom Cruise. And so he reached out to David Zaslav, the guy who runs Warner Brothers, and said, I want to watch The Flash. So he was able to set him up with an early viewing of The Flash. Tom Cruise watched it, absolutely loved it, thought it was so good. He reached out to the director, Andy Muschietti, or whatever, however you say it, of The Flash, and wanted to congratulate him personally. So it's like, all right, Tom Cruise is about this movie. Does that up your hype factor more, less? Like, what do you think about it? Should we care? Should we not?
I, in terms of Tom Cruise and his craft, I've heard that he's very particular about how he likes things, especially in the Mission Impossible movies. And to be honest, all of those kind of bang. So
right.
If from
slap.
Yeah, they slap. If from his standpoint that he views it as similar to how he would want the tightness of his own movies and he saw that in this movie, I agree. And I think I'm hyped for that. But in terms of just Tom Cruise as a person, I don't know that his he liking it is going to make me like it more, considering that he likes a lot of things that I don't necessarily like as well. So
that's true. That's true.
But as a professional, and what he's accomplished in his own right, sure.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right. I think you brought up a good point that he is very, I've heard the same thing, that he's very particular in movies. He wants things done a certain way. He knows. I mean, he's been in the business so long that he has an understanding of what's going to be a hit and what's not. And I think this probably is a good sign for the movie. Again, this was one of those movies where I was like, I want to hate this. I don't want to support this. I don't want to support Ezra Miller. But it just keeps seeing like, man, if you don't go watch it, you're going to be sorry, because it's going to be a fucking banger of a movie. And I'm pumped about that. So I do think it says something about the movie. And again, everybody who has seen it, or all of the reviews or the test screenings, have said it's testing phenomenal. Yeah. So,
I mean, in terms of DC movies not banging...
Wait, okay. I like that segue. Thank you. Very good. I didn't think it didn't not bang. It kind of banged, slight bang.
Yeah. It was a 2-pump banger.
It was I'd say 3.
Oh, 3 pumps.
3 pumps. Yeah, at least 3 pumps.
Okay.
Did you see it? So we're talking about Shazam: Fury of the Gods. Were you able to watch it?
I was able to watch it.
Oh, you did? You did? Yeah. Okay, so no bangs for you? No pumps?
So in terms of there was just a lot of cliche dialogue and cliche tropes, and I think Shazam is one of my favorite DC characters, and to kind of see him become. I think Billy Batson's actor is Billy Batson, but in terms of Zachary Levi, the funniness and the playfulness I enjoy, but when it comes to he needs to smash, it's hard for me to take him seriously because of a lot of the dialogue that's being said is very like Gen XYZ / millennial post, you know? And I understand what the movie is catered to in terms of demographic. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
But some of the dialogue really took me out of it. In terms of, like, you know, Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren, I thought that whole situation was interesting. I believed it. I kind of followed it through. But in terms of, like, the direness of the bad guy, not as definitive. I think DC is kind of not hitting home with this. I think maybe Zod and the Joker are probably the two best that they could do, you know, and the Penguin. But when you think about who the Justice League fought, who what is her name? Wonder Woman fought. They weren't like huge baddies. I would even say Aquaman in his own realm had a huge epic battle, right?
Right.
But I digress.
Yeah, so that was one of the... Okay, so let me just start out by saying this. There was a lot I liked about this movie. I went in with super low expectations. I'm like, I'm just going to laugh. I'm going to enjoy some cool action. Like, I'm just going to try not to just hate this movie. And then I walked out of it being, I liked it. I liked it, but I agree with you. It felt a lot like a early 2000s movie. Some of the dialogue was cheesy. There was action when you expected there to be action. There was the typical beats from, you know, an early 2000s superhero movie. It really wasn't that original. But there was a lot I liked about it. The villains, because you mentioned that. You have such strong actors with Lucy Liu, Helen Mirren, even... maybe that's too much of a spoiler. Well, we're talking spoilers. Even Rachel Zegler, right? Or Ziegler, I don't know how you say it, but you know, she's part of that trio. And I don't know, I just felt like they were underutilized. Like, it was so weird. The underfighting kind of diminished their threat.
Yep.
The fact that they were trying to, like, it didn't work. Like, and man, I'm like, they're such good actresses. And I'm like, why did they seem so cheap? And I think you're right. It was the dialogue that didn't land. So, some of Zachary Levi's dialogue as Shazam to me was really funny.
Yes.
I was like, some of this is really hilarious.
Yes.
But he's more of a kid than the actor who plays the kid who plays young Billy Batson. Yeah. Like Asher Angel, they don't feel to me always like the same person. You know, but maybe he feels more free to be himself as Shazam because he's, you know, powerful and whatnot.
He just doesn't have anything to worry about.
Yeah, but that kid, Asher Angel, I mean, I felt like he was underutilized in this movie too because he was a phenomenal actor. At that part where he had to cry with his, you know, and the mom, which also that felt out of the place too. I'm like, she's barely had lines in these last movies, and all of a sudden she like loves him so much and cares for him so much. And like there was a little things like, you know, they were like, bye mom, and he's like, bye Jessica, whatever her name is. Which was, you know, it needed to be there, but that emotional moment to me needed to be there but didn't feel earned.
No, yeah, agree. I mean, to your point, like they did a lot of like telling and not showing. And it's, you know, which is completely fine because it's pushing that narrative forward. At the same point in time, when you talk about earning it, like I also don't necessarily feel like since Billy Batson's since Shazam early movie, where Billy Batson is actually earning the idea of Shazam because Shazam the Wizard is trying to find somebody who is, you know, has earned the mantle of. And I think by the end of the movie, Shazam earns it by, you know, sacrificing himself for the greater good. Hence the reason why you get that nice little tidbit at the end where another DC superhero comes in and thanks him, etc. A true god, right? As Helen Mirren said before she had some other stuff to do. And I appreciate that for sure. And I think, like you said, there's a lot of positives in terms of funny dialogue, in terms of pushing the narrative forward, in terms of action, in terms of overall what you want to see out of a superhero, especially a Shazam movie. At the same point in time, when you're not earning your keep, it makes it very hard to like continue to be there. And conversely with Marvel, they've earned most of the characters, I should say, have earned their keep. We've seen it movie after movie after movie after movie where they've continued to lose and grow, and get to a point where they've earned what it is that they're doing. Whereas I think DC is a little bit further behind in that sense. But yeah, to your point.
Hence the restart, man. Yeah, I really wanted this movie to do well and kind of surprise everybody, be like, wow, this is a sleeper hit. And Zachary Levi gets to continue on as Shazam, and it's just not looking that way. The box office numbers was 30 million, and I think it was the lowest DC opening before, like even before pre-pandemic levels. So that's very unfortunate. Again, I think people should go out and watch it. I don't know. I think it was cool. Like, you know, there was a lot to enjoy. It just wasn't a standout hit. It's not going to be your Endgame. It's not going to be your Captain America Winter Soldier. It's not going to be your Thor Ragnarok, you know, but there was a lot of cool things. I liked the family dynamic, and then they all get their power sucked away, which I thought was all right, but I was kind of hoping when all those monsters were coming out at the end that they would get their powers back and see them kick ass one more time. Yeah, but then they didn't.
I will say I enjoyed the I guess you can consider like the pantheon of like the Cyclops and the Manticore. I thought it was I love Megan Good, so let's just continue.
Yeah,
on with her.
Megan Good was awesome in this
She's
movie.
So great. The unicorn situation I thought was interesting. You don't really get to see that kind of like take on unicorns, especially when you consider what it's like in the past, where My Little Ponies and then Hogwarts, etc., etc. So I did kind of like that, but at the same point in time, I think the aggressification of these beings, like they made them look more menacing than I guess to make them seem different from other ideas of them. I kind of liked but also disliked, because you kind of want to see what you are used to in the pantheon of Greek mythology, Roman mythology.
Right.
And I thought that was an interesting way to help bring the individuals of the Shazam family out one by one, and that I didn't really get to see that. They kind of fought as a team, which is completely fine, but I think more of their individual prowess would have been interesting to help build their characters up and, like you said, earn more of that moving forward if they're going to be in the movies moving forward.
Well, I don't know if they're going to be in the movies moving forward anymore.
Yeah, probably not.
But yeah, I thought the Shazam family together was really cool, and they did a good job. Standouts. Man, how cool is it that girl Grace Caroline Curry got to play both young Mary and Shazam Mary, or Marvelous Mary, which was cool. Yeah. Megan Good was really, I love her character in it because she's like the youngest little girl, and she's just adorable
fun.
in it.
Yeah.
Super fun. Dude, I even thought Adam Brody, who played, what did he call himself? Superhero? Fantastic Man, or
like every Power Man or whatever.
Every Power, yeah. I liked him too. I thought Adam Brody was really funny in that role. That was really good. And the kid version of him was Freddy. Yeah. Jack Dylan Grazer is the actor. Yeah. Dude, he was the standout for me. He was so funny.
Yeah. He's got range. Like he can do.
Does.
He really carried the acting throughout. Obviously you love to hate his character and you hate to love his character as well too. And I think, like you said, he did a lot of the heavy lifting. I will say, in terms of acting, he probably was the focal point.
Yeah, exactly. Which is interesting in a Shazam movie that the side character is more the focal point. But yeah, again, which is weird, but he killed it. Like he went in there to do his job and he crushed it. So that was, I was like really impressed with that kid. So again, now let's get into the end, because I just want to talk about where does this go? Okay, right? Like this movie's probably not getting Shazam. This franchise is not getting Shazam 3. Yeah. But then you bring in Gal Gadot at the end to basically resurrect Billy, and Shazam pops up. Which also, they had this weird fake out in the middle of the movie where she had a body double, but then it had the sorcerer's face in it. Yeah. Jamon, I forgot what Honsu, I think is his name. Yeah. Honsu. Yeah. Yes. But who plays the wizard, it's like weird that there's that fake out. And then I guess which I did not think was well done. I thought that was super poorly executed. And then, but then we get Gal Gadot at the end, and you're like, oh wait, I thought the DCEU is done, and you just did the same thing in Black Adam with Henry Cavill, and then you fired him a month, like weeks later. Why bring Gal Gadot in if she's not going to be Wonder Woman moving forward? Like, what is going on here? So that was all super confusing for me.
Right.
And I'm like, where is this? Like, does all this stuff get reset in Flash and like none of this matters? Because like, why? What is this?
It's almost like, I don't want to say a waste of time, but like,
but it feels like a waste of time.
Yeah, I don't want to say pointless, but like,
it feels pointless though.
Yeah, it feels like, oh, we made this movie, so we're just going to give you this movie, even though this movie doesn't matter. And and to me, I compare it to like doing things in jiu-jitsu. In general, just doing things in life. If you're not confident in your action,
right,
and you don't believe in it, then it's obviously not going to do good. So it feels this way about this because if it's just, to me, the movie doesn't follow through, right? It's just it's a haphazard high five to DC fans, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're right.
A lot of good, there's some good. It wasn't bad, but
it wasn't bad.
It wasn't what you want as a DC fan, I think.
Yeah. They just threw it up there and decided like, I don't need a home run. Like, I'm fine with a single. Maybe we get a double. That'd be good.
But
I
like that.
We don't need a home run. You're like, okay. But so, really interesting. I don't know what this means. We then get the team from the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. James Gunn's wife is in it. And that big guy who's hilarious. I don't know his name. The whole spiel about the boots.
Oh, yeah.
And we get Shazam. He's getting recruited into the team, which is cool. The Justice Society, no less. Not the Justice League. All right. So, okay, Justice League doesn't even seem like a thing anymore in this world. But the Justice Society's there. Dr. Fate, Hawkman, Adam. Now I guess Shazam's part of the team. What was it? Cyclone as well. Mm-hmm. Again, all that stuff. It's like super cool if it was leading to something, but now we're getting end credit scenes where they lead to nothing.
I know.
So you're like, what the? Which is so cool. It's just weird. It's just really weird.
It's almost like, again, I use this idiom earlier, but like it's a bunch of stickers. Like, it's cool that I can have them and I can put them on whatever I want to, but like, How do they connect? Why do they matter? Do I just make a collage? Do they fit in a grander scheme of this portrait that's happening? Mm-hmm. I don't know what to do with it. I like it. It's nice, but I don't know what to do with it.
Right. No, I think it's a perfect example. Yeah. And then the final credit scene, we get Mark Strong back as Dr. Sivana. And he is, I forgot what that little worm creature is called, but he was in the he's supposed to be like an evil scientist, almost like a MODOK-esque character, but comic fans don't come at me because I know it's not MODOK and it's not like a mental organism. He's like some type of alien that has like is able to create things and yada yada. But we get that thing with Dr. Sivana, which was really cool because it teased him up like, oh, he can come back. But I'm sad because I don't think we're getting a Shazam 3, and I think Shazam 2, it needed to tee up Black Adam fighting Shazam. That's the whole point of having these. You have Black Adam, you have Shazam. Like, why not put both of those powerhouse together? The point is to have them fight. And it's like, we're never going to get that now. And I wonder if all these execs at Warner Brothers and DC are going to look back and just be like, why didn't we just put them in the same damn movie? It seems so weird because... Yeah, just weird choices.
They had Black Adam. They were probably already filming Black Adam and probably filming Shazam 2 same time.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
maybe I would, and I think you and I can agree. Fuck it, I would make Black Adam so that's his backstory. Put him right into fucking Shazam 2.
Right.
Because, I mean,
at least for end credit scene.
Yeah. Well, I would even say, fuck it. Like, why are we doing Atlas's daughters? Like, why does that matter to the grand scheme of DC? Like,
totally.
make him fight Shazam. Shazam has to grow the fuck up and fight Black Adam, and then Black Adam and Shazam battle. And maybe it's too hard to where the end credit scene is, Shazam is on the ground where he can't fight, and then now the Justice League, you can see them walking forward from the mist.
Oh yeah,
right?
Or since they talked about the Justice Society, then you see Justice Society coming up, and you get to see Dr. Fate and Hawkman, all that.
Yeah.
They're like just drop down from the jet and like end credit scene, and you're like, what?
Let's,
Right.
Granted, I don't know what James Gunn has, down. Well, we've seen the
Probably
list,
not Zachary Levi and the rest of these.
Yeah, it's probably not those people's. So
Right.
I mean, it's cool. It's fine.
Yeah, it's
At
fine.
the same point in time, I think it would be if Brock Lesnar was a better actor, I think he would make an interesting Shazam older individual, because that's kind of what Shazam looks like is a huge ass Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. Or
Right.
Alan Richson. Alan Richson would be tight. I'll be down with that. He played Reacher.
Oh,
He's on Reacher.
Fuck yeah.
Reacher, that guy is jacked. And
yeah.
I love Alan Richson, man. I'll watch him in anything. And Reacher was fantastic.
He would be great as a Shazam.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think he could play off acting like a kid. He's a really talented actor too.
Yeah.
I think that he doesn't get enough credit. But yeah, so that was Shazam for Your Gods. Still recommend people go see it. But what does this mean for the future of DC? I don't think it means a lot anymore, unfortunately. And yeah, that's just too bad. It's too bad. All right, the last bit of review for tonight is just My Hero Academia. It has gone in a really interesting direction. Have you been watching? Have you watched these latest episodes?
I have not been able to catch up on it just
I don't
because
blame you, man.
of things in life. But
No
tell
worries.
me about why I should be.
It is weird. I will say that it's Midoriya has now left UA. Right, he's like, okay, I don't want anybody to get hurt. I have, the power to stop All for One, and I have to do everything I can to stop all these villains. Now, that all these villains have escaped from all these prisons. They're taking over Japan, destroying everything. He does fight one of them in in episode 135, but in episode 136 to 137, it's the class. It's like Deku versus Class 1A, which is cool. It's a cool concept, and basically they're just trying to stop him and say like, "You need to take care of yourself. We're here to back you up." And he's like, "No, it's got to all be me." And those are actually pretty cool. And this episode was great. I did like it. I'm watching on Hulu, so it's like 136, 137, but 136 was tight because the class comes and we get to see all of the different characters use their powers, like the tape guy. He gets to do something cool. Mineta with the balls gets to do something cool. Like we see how they've all leveled up, and they all like share a personal story with Midoriya in an attempt to get him to stop from going on this like lone wolf journey. But all of that's great, but it's getting really emotional. And in this episode, this is the first time Bakugo tells him, before that, they do this like tag team like bullet thing where like the acid girl makes like an acid wall. Ingenium's in there, Bakugo's in there, Todoroki's in there, and they're like blasting this thing up into like space basically to chase after Midoriya because now he can fly. He has like gas. He has like Black Whip. He has like all these powers, right? Because of the old whatever they're called, vanquishes or whatever in his power. So that part's dope. They finally are able to like bring him down, subdue him enough, and this is the first time Bakugo actually like says, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry for bullying you. I'm sorry for doing all those things." And he's like, "I was always, I looked down upon you, but at the same time, like I always felt like you had more going on for you than I did, and even though I had powers and you didn't." Yeah, so that part was like, whoa, really emotional, really like.
Yeah, wow.
It was great. So I love this episode. The next episode, I fell asleep 4 or 5 times, and I was like, dude, I cannot get through this. I'm like, what is going on? It was all dialogue. Basically, the Class 1A convinces him to go back to UA. UA is now like a fortress. They built this massive wall surrounding the city, and apparently each square space of the school grounds can like shoot underground and be like transported somewhere else. Like what?
What the?
All these people who have now been like hiding out, so to speak, in UA for like safety because all the villains are out loose destroying the cities, or like he can't come here because they're gonna come after them, and if they go after him, they're gonna hurt us. And you're like, what? All over the place. Could not follow this episode. Yeah, I hate using the term filler because sometimes filler, like there's like a negative connotation with filler, and sometimes I like filler episodes and I feel like you learn some things that are cool. This was like such a slug. I was just like crawling through this episode, so don't really quite understand what the point was of all this, other than to show how much like the class backs him up, and and how advanced and how cool the school is set up. But really, really boring one. So 136 was great. 137 was not so great. I just want to get back to the point when Midoriya is going to fight all for one, or at least go after all the villains that have escaped the prisons, because I'm like, why even show any of that if we're not there? The pacing in this season has been really weird for me.
Yeah, no. Just from you explaining it and me watching previous episodes too, it's like, it seems very like, okay, we're here, now we're jumping to here. Now we're jumping to here, now we're here.
Right.
We're talking about this here, but then now we're over here.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And it's sometimes it's cool because that whole battle with the Liberation Army, everything was badass. That was dope. I mean, with Aizawa having to cut off his own leg and all this, it was like, whoa, we get to see like Aizawa has a metal leg now, which is dope, which is cool as well. But it's like it gets so hot and heavy, and then so nothing after. This season is just really odd. Again, it's just been weird. Like, it's still, to me, like one of my favorite animes, but it's like harder for me to be like, it's my favorite anime, because right now it's like it's not quite doing it for me. And I'm like, where are we going? Well, Midoriya's a completely different character, and he's gone through some trauma and yada yada. But I think he kind of had that Captain America, like, no matter what, we're going to be positive, we're going to make it through this. And I don't feel like he has that anymore. And maybe this is him breaking down before he can become that again. But still, it's like, it's really like a bummer to watch, I think. I'm waiting to get some of that back. When they do things well, it's really amazing. I still think it's incredible, but I'm like, dang, where are they going with this? It's just weird. So,
all right, well,
that's new. Yeah.
Hopefully it gets better sooner than later.
Yeah. Hopefully it just picks back up. When it picks back up, I know it's going to be incredible. I'm just like, why are we going down all these weird paths to get, it's like A to C, right? And you're like, okay, I go A, B, and C. But they're like, no, they're like going A, then Z, then J, then 5, then 6, then B, then 17. It's like asterisk, exclamation point. You're like, why are we taking all these weird stops on the way to C? But yeah, anyways, that's My Hero Academia. If you got thoughts on it or any other anime that you want us to talk about, hit us up. I'm trying to catch up with Demon Slayer right now. Yeah. What about you? Got anything else going on? Anything else that you're checking out anime wise, or?
I mean, I've been watching. I've been trying to keep up on Blue Lock.
Damn it! We gotta talk about Blue Lock next time.
Which is a soccer situation for anime, and then I've been keeping up with.
That's a favorite of Michael B. Jordan's too. He loves Blue Lock.
Oh, he loves Blue Lock. That's what's up.
Yeah.
I wonder if he has a favorite football squad too, as well.
Maybe.
And then I've been watching Shrinking, like we talked about on the last episode. Continues to be fantastic.
Yeah.
And I've been keeping up on Bad Batch just because. So for individuals who are like, "Ooh, Bad Batch, man, it's hard to watch." I think look at it from the perspective of the eradication and genocide of the clones post Clone Wars. That'll kind of help bring a lot more depth to it and make it more palatable.
Dang it, you should have brought that up when we were talking Mandalorian, because that would have been great.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, next time. But yes, now that you explain that to me, it makes me want to go back and watch Bad Batch, because people who've stuck through it have said it's been really, really good.
Yeah.
But but there has been a large majority of people like that. This is not for me. Of course, my thing was the Omega whole situation. But again, it sounds like you need to watch Bad Batch to kind of fill in the story of how the First Order comes to power and whatnot. So,
well, I think there is a point too of like the animated versions of Star Wars seemed kind of kiddish. Like the Resistance is supposed to be pre-First Order,
right?
So, but at the same point in time, like, it don't look like is super awesome. So I mean, by all means, I guess you got to just not judge a book by its cover and give it a try every time. I don't know.
Absolutely. I mean, that's how I felt about Rebels. I was like, it looks dumb. Like, the animation doesn't look that good. And then watching it now, I'm like, this show's really freaking good. And it fills you in on so much shit that you wouldn't normally know about. It just like, it's completing this story. It's really good. So yeah, I know Bad Batch is definitely on the list for me too.
The Joystick Show.
If you've enjoyed what you've been listening to, we'd really appreciate a follow, subscribe, and a review. Just how we like chatting with our friends, please share this with yours. Feel free to join the squad and follow us at JoyStickShow, Joystick Show on Twitter and Instagram, or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And if you feel like submitting topics or questions to be discussed on future episodes, you can email us at joystick.show@gmail.com. As always, thank you, peace out, and make it a great rest of your week.